Welcome back, podcasters, listeners, viewers, to the Say That podcast, a podcast by Wingstop, for Wingstop, where we talk about culture and all the things that are going on with the brand. Today, we're going to jump into Women's History Month and also celebrated International Women's Month this month as well at Wingstop. And we've got a fan favorite. We got Marisa Carona as a guest today. Marisa, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, tell the viewers obviously your name, your role here at Wingstop, how long you've been here, and of course, favorite flavor.
Ooh. Well, first off, thanks so much for having me on the
Of course.
pod.
Of course.
This is a coveted chair to be sitting in here, so thrilled to be here, and it's just a really cool activation that Wingstop's been doing, so thanks for the invite.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
But Marisa Carona, as Donnie mentioned, I head up U.S. franchise operations for Wingstop. Been with the brand, just celebrated 9 years.
OG. We got an OG in the building.
Yes. OG, coincidentally, OG is one of my favorite flavors. Like to mix in some lemon pepper, of course. And then now we got our LTO hot honey rub. If you haven't tried it, be sure to try it. Delicious, particularly on the chicken sandwich.
That's right. It's an LTO, so go get it quickly.
Get it while it's in restaurant.
That's right.
Let's go.
That's right. And MC, talk to us a little bit about your role. So what's your responsibility as you head up a U.S. franchise operations?
That's right. So responsible for really day-to-day driving the business of our U.S. operations. We're primarily franchised here at Wingstop. My team and I, we work with our brand partners day in, day out, driving their growth, driving their profitability in restaurant, and really maintaining those relationships as we aspire to be a top 10 global restaurant brand.
Yeah, and maintaining those strong unit economics as well, right?
That's right. That's right. Maintaining best-in-class returns.
That's right.
Ops excellence is something that we're also really passionate about at Wingstop. So making sure that our guests get a great guest experience in restaurant, and ops excellence is really top of mind for me, my team, as well as our brand partners.
Yeah, great. Now, you have the chief in your title, but you haven't always been a chief. I'd love for you to share your story. I mean, an amazing story of growth, of leadership, of resiliency. I'd love for you to share your story at Wingstop and how you got into the seat you're in today.
Yeah. Happy to do so. And maybe I'll take it even a little bit further back, but I'll be pretty brief. But originally from Michigan, suburb of Detroit, got sick of the snow, so did make my way down to Dallas, Texas, but had a couple stops along the way. Right out of college, and I was an engineer undergrad, and it's interesting, growing up, loved math and science, and I know this podcast, we're celebrating Women's History Month, but being a girl growing up that you're good at math and science, you would automatically get kind of ushered into engineering.
Yeah.
So that's where I found my path in school. But shortly after college, went to the University of Michigan College of Engineering. But shortly after that, began the career in corporate America as a defense contractor.
Wow.
So worked for a defense contractor for a number of years. Moved around geographically, New York, California, Texas. Found my home in Texas, but after some time made a shift to work for 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And that was my first introduction into retail, the hospitality industry, if you will, and I just loved it.
Yeah.
So working for the defense industry, building missiles, building fighter jets, very noble causes, but not quite as relatable to actually put yourself in the shoes of a guest.
Sure.
And I first got that bug at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
So loved it. And along the way had positions primarily in operations, strategy, operations, some project management as well. And got tapped on the shoulder. A former colleague of mine had come over to Wingstop, and they were starting a project management office. This was back in 2015.
Yeah.
Tapped me on the shoulder and interviewed with the company. First tried the product.
Yeah.
Loved it. Yeah. And researched more about the company. Just seemed like a really interesting brand, a lot of growth in the future. and came over to Wingstop. And again, I mentioned that was almost a decade ago.
How many restaurants at that time did
We had
Wingstop
around
have?
700 restaurants.
Wow,
So
incredible.
yeah, we've now, almost tripled
Yeah.
our footprint since then.
Yeah.
But came over, I mentioned, in a project management capacity. From there, took on positions of increasing responsibility, leading our guest experience program, leading our global ops integration, including our training program as well, internal audit. Got an opportunity to become chief of staff,
Yeah.
which is a really interesting role. Also, from there, led our strategy, became chief growth officer, where I got to work in our marketing function.
Yeah.
Kind of cut my teeth from an engineer to a marketer
Yeah.
is quite the shift, but had a lot of fun. And then almost 2 years ago is now as I celebrate the role in operations, heading up franchise operations for the U.S.
That's great. That's great. What do you attribute to just your ability to grow and take on the different types of responsibilities, the different roles, the complexity of the roles? What do you attribute to being having the ability to do that here at Wingstop?
Yeah, you probably heard from my history that it's a interesting trajectory. It's not a linear one,
Sure.
not maybe even a natural path, but what I've liked to refer to myself as a corporate athlete.
Yeah.
So regardless of the function, regardless of the role, I like to think that I'm pretty hungry, humble, and smart, which
Yeah.
are our attributes here at Wingstop. And I would say just being able to say yes to the opportunity, and that's one piece of advice
Yeah.
too that I would pass on to others in the perhaps starting out their career.
Yeah.
You might get tapped on the shoulder to do something that you have a little bit of experience in, maybe none at all, but say yes
Yeah.
when those opportunities
Yeah.
come, whether it's a stretch assignment, a new role, new opportunity to learn something new. If you have that intellectual curiosity, it'll help serve you. And even if it's not where you land or think you want to land long term,
Sure.
it'll just give you another tool in your toolbox that you can perhaps apply later in your career.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that's one thing that Wingstop really does a good job of is finding those opportunities to stretch assignment, give you a stretch project, or get you out of your comfort zone and have you lead in a space that you may not be that familiar with, but have the leadership capabilities to do so. And I think that served really well at Wingstop, served you well at Wingstop. When you say advice, is there something else you would tell the younger Marisa?
Yeah, I think, saying yes to those opportunities. I would also say, something that I've learned a little bit later in my career is it's okay to be a little vulnerable.
Yeah.
You don't always have to be perfect
Yeah.
all the time. It's okay as a leader to let your team, let your peers, let your leader see some flaws and
Yeah.
some cracks in the armor,
Yeah.
if you will. So that's something I personally have worked on a lot.
Yeah.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect by any means, pun intended, based on what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
But it's okay to be vulnerable and kind of lean into that vulnerability.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's amazing. And admitting when you're wrong, right, and asking for help. Like those are the two big things I think as leaders, as we mature and as we grow in our leadership capabilities and skills. It's really about admitting when you're wrong, but then also being able to raise your hand when you need help and when you need advice or support.
Absolutely. It's actually, I think, a good sign of emotional intelligence when you can ask for help, in addition to a sign of vulnerability. But when you know, hey, this isn't my area of expertise, who can I pull on? And I think also as a leader, as you're coming up in your career, that'll help as you're assembling your team as well, making sure that you have a team that you can lean in, support each other, and kind of lean into each other's strengths.
For
too.
sure. Yeah, I try to surround myself with those that are much smarter than me. That's the key for me, for sure.
Right? Don't we all? Don't we all?
Well, we'll talk about growing up. What inspired you? Who inspired you? I know you have a story or two to tell as it relates to, people that played a really important role in your life. I'd love for you to share that with the viewers.
Yeah, I mentioned grew up in Michigan, Southeast Michigan, suburb of Detroit, and it's interesting. My dad immigrated to the U.S. when he was 24 from Germany. On my mom's side of the family, they're immigrants from Italy, so grew up really close to those cultural ties that I had and close to that heritage. And I think those immigrant ties were a part of who I was at a very early age.
Yeah.
So, and it's hardworking. Dad worked. He had his own company during the day. Worked night shift on the line for an auto manufacturer. Yeah. Grandparents saw them really come to the U.S. with nothing, and build a successful business and have kind of a good grounded family unit that they helped solidify for all of us. So that was a part of who I was, part of my DNA. Literally and just figuratively as well, and again, I mentioned it's interesting. I actually grew up. My grandfather had, it was kind of a property that he built a home for us, where my grandparents lived next door. Aunt and uncle lived on the other side of me. Yeah. Other aunt and uncle lived close to them. So barbecues, parties, there was always something to celebrate. So family was a really big deal for me growing up.
That's the definition of it takes a village right there. He created one.
That was a village, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, tell me what you're most excited about when you think about the future at Wingstop.
Yeah. So the reason I came here 9 years ago was for the growth. And it's interesting, we're going to celebrate our 30th anniversary as a brand this year.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
And in many ways, it's like we're just getting started.
Yeah.
So still so much runway ahead in terms of new locations, in terms of volume in our restaurants. I mean, there's so much opportunity, but the core of who we are, we're a category of one. There's no one like Wingstop. We talked about just the successful business model that we're able to provide for our corporate restaurants as well as for our brand partner community, for the flavors, right? We talked a little bit about favorite flavors earlier, but our product, it's high quality, craveable. There's nothing that replaces Wingstop.
Y'all hear
nothing
that passion in the
replaces
voice?
It. So
that's not manufactured passion. That's real passion.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah. So what I'm excited about is let's continue the journey.
Yeah.
Right. Top 10 global restaurant brand is where we're headed, and I believe we have nothing holding us back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I know you spend a lot of time, obviously, grinding for Wingstop, but you have some pretty interesting hobbies. You want to share your hobbies and what you do in your free time?
Yeah. So in addition to eating wings, which I do a lot of that, have a great family, husband, 2 kids, 6-year-old girl, 8-year-old boy. So they keep us pretty busy.
Yeah.
So a lot of family activities, sports. We're a super athletic, also a competitive family, which you probably aren't surprised. No one's probably surprised to hear that. But just like being active outside when we can. Love to travel as well. But little tennis, little pickleball here and there. Yeah. Try to fit that in when we can.
Yeah. What's important for you in terms of like you're building your legacy with your kids? What's important message or learnings for your children that you want to pass down?
Yeah, I think hard work is a part of who I am. So hopefully raising them in a similar fashion, right? Like put in the effort, put in the work, but also be kind. Yeah. Be a good person as well. So if they can strike that balance, and ultimately we all spend so much time working. Yeah. That you want to be passionate, you want to have fun. So do it in a way that you can, and for a company, thankfully with Wingstop, and it's a brand that I truly just love, as you can tell. But try to have fun, be a good person, work hard.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and if we get more of our youth that have those 3 qualities, we'll be in good shape as a country, for sure.
That's right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you think about your career and where you are, very successful career, I might add. What is one of the things when you look back, when you're hanging up your cleats, hanging up your Jordans, when you look back, what's that one thing that you're going to be happy that you accomplished?
Yeah. So I think a great indication is the leaders that you've been able to mentor and kind of bring up with you along the way.
Yeah.
So, and I think there's some success stories that I know you and I both have. That's pretty neat, pretty exciting,
Yeah.
and it's actually oftentimes more exciting to see a leader that you've been able to mentor
Yeah.
grow than even growing yourself,
Yeah,
right?
for
In
sure,
a
for
new
sure.
role or promotion.
Yeah.
So that's something that I really care about
Yeah.
is just people development. Here at Wingstop, our foundation is based on people
Yeah.
as our competitive advantage. So, again, that personal goal really aligns well with our organization's
Yeah.
values as well. But yeah, just seeing those success stories,
Yeah.
right, where maybe a new hire comes in, takes a new position of increased responsibility. They build out their teams. They're able to grow along the way.
Yeah.
It's a very fulfilling moment when you can see that happen.
Yeah. And I think that just lends itself to, obviously there's a lot of opportunity at Wingstop, and you can apply at wingstopcareers.com if you're interested in joining the brand. But
Nice plug.
but the ability to not only obviously develop and grow people internally, but there's just so much opportunity here. And you talked about, we're a 30-year-old brand this year, but there's just so much growth still in front of us as an organization. Our plan is to get to 7,000 units globally. And so with that growth is going to become opportunity. And so I just think it's really important that when that opportunity knocks, that you're ready for it. Is there something you would say or advice you would give to team members, to folks out there in their current organizations to be ready for that opportunity when it comes knocking?
Well, first off, just want to underscore how special Wingstop is, because I mentioned my journey here. I got to work in, lead, be involved with almost every function of the business.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
Yeah.
There's not many organizations that will give you that opportunity to wear different hats like that to that extent.
Sure.
And even if you're not in an official, let's say, HR role, operations role, marketing role, as business leaders, we still have an onus, a responsibility to kind of bring our perspective to the table on the business in a 360 fashion. So
sure.
that's so special
Yeah.
and unique about Wingstop, which is pretty cool. And
it's also an expectation, I think, too. I think, as an organization, especially in our seats, is you're expected to be an enterprise leader, a thought leader across the organization, not just in your expertise, but really a business leader. And that's one thing I really appreciate about Wingstop, appreciate about the brand. It affords you an opportunity to do that, to lead on an enterprise level and not just be the ops person or the HR person, right? Like we expect you to be a leader and be a business leader.
Collaborating's fun.
Yeah.
It's energizing.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there's tough conversations that
sure.
come from it that only make us better.
For sure.
But who wants to be in a silo?
Yeah, for sure.
It sounds boring and dark. But back to your question, I would say, when that opportunity knocks, and maybe one caveat there, sometimes opportunity knocks, sometimes you gotta open the door for it yourself, right? So I think in terms of just, maybe someone newer in their career coming up, raise your hand, talk to your leader, put your name in the hat for a special project, a new role, a new opportunity, even just to sit in a meeting that's outside of your core area of expertise. So be that continuous life learner with intellectual curiosity. But when that opportunity comes, if it's maybe if it's a big deal or something that seems a little daunting at first, just take a deep breath and know that you got this. Yeah. Right. And more likely,
self-affirmations.
More likely than not, you're going to have a network, whether it's family, friends, peers that you can lean on, ask for help. We talked about that. Yeah. And just roll up your sleeves and get at it.
Yeah, I like that. I love that, actually. And I often tell people, like, you got to meet the organization halfway. Yeah, you can't expect, when you said sometimes you got to raise your hand and have a conversation with your leader. hey, I want to sit in this meeting. I want to learn. I love to, go cross-functionally and sit in a cross-functional meeting as well. Like just things like that to be curious and to your point, a life learner. I think that bodes really well. And if you do that throughout your entire career, you most likely you're going to be very successful. Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah. Okay. Last question, and of course, I always open it up at the end, and you can ask any questions of me. But it's Women's History Month, and we celebrate International Women's Day here at Wingstop. I'd love to hear your perspective on just the importance of that and what that means for you here at Wingstop and what that means for the brand.
Yeah, and another great item of just being a team member of Wingstop is, our focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, our focus on bringing your full self to work every day. There's, and I think, we each bring our flavor to Wingstop, pun intended. And, I think that's what makes us better, right? Bringing your full self to work every day. There's no need to try to be anything else, right? We all have a unique set of background, experiences, and having that diverse perspective strengthens our business and our ability to work collaboratively.
Yeah, couldn't have said it any better. And the fact that I think that is something that you're hearing from the very top of the organization, and it's not just words. I mean, we truly live that here at Wingstop. It's really important that people feel like they can be their complete selves at work, and we really value diversity in background, diversity in experience. That I think that really makes us who we are. It's really our special sauce, if you will. We appreciate the contributions from everybody in the organization, and that's how we our competitive advantage and the foundation of how we're successful here.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, any questions you have that I can answer?
Yeah. So International Women's Month. Yeah. Great chance for us to reflect on, as we've talked about, diversity, women. I talked about my kids a little bit. Yeah. You have
all girls.
3 daughters.
All girls.
So what would you tell? What advice are you giving to your daughters as they navigate? The younger ones, school, the older ones, education and college.
Well, first thing is don't kiss boys. That's number one. But no, it's a good one, and we have a lot of conversations in my household about just the importance of believing in yourself, self-confidence, self-affirmations. And my wife does it. She's a balance of me. She does a really good job of this as well. Is don't sweat the small stuff. And I often tell my girls is that they can do anything. They have to hear that. And I think it's really important that they hear that from their father, and that I have their back and I support them no matter what. And so I just try to love on them as much as I can, because the world's tough. And so I just try to, I travel a lot for work, but when I'm present, I'm trying to be fully present and give them as much love as they possibly can. And that's really it. And then for my college daughter, it's same thing. You can do and be whatever you want, but the work, you got to work hard and you got to put the work in. And the rest will work itself out, and so we really talk about what hard work means, and they all are phenomenal kids, and they make me proud every single day. It's for me. I'm trying to pave a way so when it's their time to come up through an organization like Wingstop, it's they have the same opportunities that I've had.
That's right. Yeah. Believe in yourself. You can do anything.
That's right. Yeah. 100%.
And I'm excited to see where they end up. No doubt it'll be very successful.
Yeah, I'm excited. They each have their own personality, and they'll end up doing whatever it is that they want to do in this world.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I love that.
And Dad'll be right there cheering them on.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, awesome. Well, appreciate the viewers and the listeners for this month Say That podcast by Wingstop. We had Marisa Carona in the building today. Thank you very much. And peace. We'll see you next time.
This was fun. Thanks.